repeat.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. Yo, I am so stoked to be here with you guys today. Gonna get some coffee, gonna talk about some games. I can't wait. I did the math because yesterday I took a day off and it has been 28 days since I took a day off. Oh, I can't believe it, but yesterday I just kicked it, was online with my homies, hung out with my lady, did some yard work, relaxed, took a nap, ate some good food. Oh, it was so good and I feel super recharged, ready to get back to work, so let's get it. Oh! Today we are talking about VR, so let's get that Joe and get it on. Oh, man. Yo, I've spent some good time in it and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. Today we are drinking some Starbucks, yo. Good old-fashioned drive-through Starbucks. Gotta get it easy sometimes and I do not feel bad about it. It is a dark roast and it's delicious. Wake me up, get me up, make me sharp, let's go. Like I mentioned, today we are talking about VR. I've put a ton of time in the last couple weeks playing Half-Life Alyx, and I've been cranking out those gameplay videos, so I hope you guys are enjoying those because they have been fun as hell to make, and that game has been fun as hell to play. However, I want to cover a few strong first impressions that I have now that I've been able to spend a bunch of time in VR. I've been talking about a lot of different stuff over the Half-Life Alyx videos I've been putting out, but those videos are long and I only talk about a few things here or there. So I want to consolidate that all, kick it with you guys and talk about everything at the same time. So let's jump into my Steam VR home and see what's going on with VR. Yo, what's up, you guys? All right, welcome to my home away from home in the Matrix. This is my Steam VR home. It's the place that I start and end every VR session when I jump into VR home on Steam. So why don't we start out? I'll give you guys a tour and just talk a little bit about, what the interface is like and what you can do in here, because it's a pretty cool spot, a pretty cool place that, you can jump in and jump out of before and after you play a VR game or do other things, which we'll get into in just a second. So let's jump in. And as you can see, the only option for movement in here is to teleport and snap left or right. So although many of you have been watching me play Half-Life Alyx in VR, which does have continuous movement, it does not have that in here yet. So we'll be jumping around the room, checking things out together as we go. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out when you hop in is this is kind of the view you start out with, which is displays a bunch of rooms that you can jump into. You can host your own chat room, which is pretty cool. Recent apps that you've used. And you can see we've got Half-Life Alyx, The Room VR, and Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. And then you've got your Steam friends here. And of course I have my Fallout decorations all over the place, among other things. Coming over here to the main wall of the room, you've got your Steam VR apps, environments and screenshots. We are on environments right now, and you can see that you can decorate your VR home where we are right now with any environment that you can find on this interface, or if you're into designing stuff, you can create your own. So there's a lot of different options here. We've got Minecraft, World of Warcraft, a lounge, Bunch of cool stuff. So that's pretty neat. Also, you can access screenshots here from the community, which is neat if you want to put those up on your wall for decoration. I have a ton that I've put up, and these are all screenshots from my inventory. So I wanted to jump in and just kind of look at all these neat moments in games I've played over the years where I've taken a screenshot. And then, of course, you've got single player, multiplayer, and other free apps that you can browse through to get for VR. Coming over here is my main wall. Just, decorating, having some fun. I put some Portal and Half-Life Easter eggs on there and a bunch of different screenshots from games. Why don't we actually take a look at those, because there's some pretty cool ones. We've got Mad Max, Tribes Ascend. Oh, I love you, Tribes. Dead Space 2, Left 4 Dead, classic. We've got Stalker with just a stalker that I photoshopped onto there. And I think that's from Call of Pripyat. We've got Strelok in the back there. Some Vermintide 2, Killing Floor 2, Far Cry 3, and Ghostbusters. Oh, and that's a gem. If you guys haven't played that Ghostbusters PC game, it is amazing. They basically they got all of the original actors to do the voices, and the gameplay is awesome and is hilarious. We've got Space Hulk Deathwing, Alien Isolation. Right there we've got Obsidian, which was made by the developers that made Myst. Very similar game, and a badass game. Got my Pirates of Nothing clan tag. Osiris, New Dawn. It's an indie game. It's pretty cool. Another Vermintide 2, Hunt Showdown, and that's my boy Tango right there. BioShock Infinite, another Dead Space. Oh yeah, everybody say hi to Dad. He taught me everything about shooters. We got Mass Effect 2, Stalker, Destiny 2. Little shout out to Gurhm's Garage. What? More Stalker, Subnautica, Half-Life Source, more Left 4 Dead, Sniper Elite, The Long Dark, Far Cry 2, Fallout 4, Prey. Oh yeah, a couple more. No, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, we got Portal Homie right there. What else? Little Portal Cube. So you can really decorate this place. Oh, and the other thing is, I've got a Halo backdrop. Look at this. It's so cool coming out here and just feeling like you're on a Halo ring. And if you look way off into the distance right there, you can see another Halo ring on the other side of the planet. So badass. So there's all sorts of different environments that you could get for your Steam VR home, which is neat. You can decorate it however you want. And I've had, a lot of fun doing it, just goofing around. So it's pretty neat. Okay, so let's get into the meat of why we're here, guys, because I want to share with you, my first impressions from spending my first 100 hours in VR. It's actually around 130 hours total in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, it's a lot of hours. But, I'm working on my Half-Life Alyx gameplay videos and review, among other things, just trying to acclimate and get used to it and figure out what I like, what I don't, so I can share with you guys that information. So let's start with one of my big first impressions, which is immersion. Let's talk about how immersive VR is. And the first thing I want to start with is, oh yeah, and obviously you can write and draw in your house, which is pretty cool. So I'll show you real quick. How about bright yellow? Let's do that. And then, if you want, oops, you can delete it. Okay, so let's talk about perceptual differentiation. Now, that's just a term that I've come up with, but let me explain it a little bit because, how you perceive things in VR on an experience level it's so much different than how you experience things playing on a desktop. Or, if you play on a console or on a Switch or some sort of mobile device like that. Yes, those games can be immersive. You can be immersed, and have a scary experience or an intense, anxious experience or an angry or sad or happy experience, in a normal video game. But in VR, it's heightened by what I'm calling perceptual differentiation, because how you perceive things is just so much more real on a full body experience level. Hearing things, seeing things, actually moving your body in the world and interacting with it. It is so immersive, you guys. And to the core of my being, I have felt scared. My temperature has risen. I've, gotten hot, sweat, and, just felt completely anxious, on a whole nother level from playing at a desktop. So there's a sense of actually experiencing things that is so much more directly tied to your physical experience versus, sitting at a desk playing it. So it's a very cool thing that I've experienced in VR so far. I also want to point out that there are a few type of games that I think are really going to flourish in VR. And that is horror games, simulator games, and I don't just mean, flying simulators. I mean military simulators or any other type of simulator where you're actually doing things in the game at the pace in which you would do it with your own body physically in real life. So, games that are slower, that's one of the other points, like Arma or Insurgency or Rainbow Six Siege, or walking simulators. Games like that are really going to flourish in VR because it's so easy to tap into that real human experience that, gets you to actually feel and be connected to the game. And then story-driven games. Those are going to be huge in VR. There a lot of the tall tale games like Walking Dead, where, you're just navigating, going through conversations, but not necessarily, having to do any like fast twitch shots or react super quick to certain things. The hardware for VR just isn't there yet. And you can only move your body so quick. So, I think these games are really going to flourish right now. As the tech gets better, maybe you can adjust, like, turning your camera faster, depending on how, quickly you turn your head. But there's also illness and things like that to take into consideration. But so right now, horror games, simulators, story-driven games, and slower-paced games are going to flourish. So if you enjoy those types of games, VR should be really interesting to you, and I highly recommend considering investing in it because you are going to fall in love with the experiences you're going to have. And then the last point in terms of immersion is just social interaction. There's so much opportunity here to connect with other people. If one of my friends has VR, they can come over to my place, my Steam VR home, and hang out. And there's all sorts of environments where you can download and install them. Beaches on Hawaii, summits of mountains, all sorts of different areas where you can put those backdrops in your home and invite people over and go there. I think eventually they'll even have, trips to certain places around the world, like the pyramids in Egypt, where you could, go on an adventure with your friends and actually, have a VR tour guide that takes you through the pyramids and shows you everything, and you don't have to buy a ticket and you don't have to actually go there. And in terms of games, though, co-op, multiplayer, like I said, there's already a ton of chat rooms that you can jump into. We've got Super Mario 64, Spider-Man, World of Warcraft. So it's pretty neat. And, particularly right now as the whole world is facing this pandemic, having a classroom where students can get into VR and be taught by a teacher that's in VR. It's a really, really new market that has so much opportunity. So all of those things, I think, create this immersive experience that I was really, really both surprised by and happy to find in my first 130 hours of VR. Okay, so let's head out and go to the next one here. Let's talk about some of the negatives, because there are negatives still. And the first one I want to talk about is illness and fatigue. Now, like I've mentioned, I'm somebody that gets motion sick really easy. But honestly, you guys, by the end of the first day in Half-Life Alyx, I was using continuous movement. I started out just using the teleporting like you're seeing right here. But I only use continuous movement in VR games now. I've completely acclimated to it. So I was really surprised by that. There are still some movements that make me ill. Like you can see this snapping option right here. There's another option where you can snap, but it's a little bit slower and it doesn't just blink to the next spot. It actually, you see everything move. That one still gets my tummy turning a little bit, but moving around continuously in the game is so much more immersive, and all the little synapses in my brain have just, reconnected, and I'm totally used to it. The other thing, though, is that fatigue is real. I've gotten out of 4-hour VR sessions, after 3 days in a row of 4-hour sessions twice a day, and I have been toasted. It's like having a hangover. It is real. So, that isn't necessarily something that's a killer for the hardware and for the games. A 4-hour session in VR, you're going to feel like you've accomplished a lot. But it's a real thing. If you've got a sports game that you need to go play, or if you're going to go to the gym, you shouldn't be doing a 4-hour session of VR first. The fatigue is real, so that's something to manage. The other negative is cost. And it isn't necessarily that, yes, it's pricey as hell, but those costs will come down over time. But really right now, it's the cost versus how many games are out there to play. This one is just going to completely get eliminated because, I've done the research, and over the next 2 years, we're going to see some incredible VR games come out. And there's some great ones already. I think Half-Life Alyx so far is, without a doubt, the best that I've played and the best that's out there, and uses all of the, types of things that you can do in VR really well. But it's still something that would turn off a lot of people, spending $500 to $1,000 on an interface when there's only a handful of full-fledged games to play. That's a lot to ask. But I will say that, that's going to get checked off the list pretty quick. The other is that you need space. Now, I'm playing in a pretty small area, but if you're playing in a tiny gaming area, that's a problem. You are going to need to, be able to get down and to get up and move around. I have my green screen behind me right now, but you have to be able to completely move around, and not bang into anything. So that's something that is worth considering. So I will say that all these things either are going to, organically come off this list, or are things that are manageable. Creating space, acclimating to not getting sick, and managing your time in so you don't get fatigued. those are all things that are manageable. So, yeah. All right, so why don't we go over here and talk about some of the new experiences I've had, because I know I talked about, how immersive it is, but there are, a couple things that have really stood out to me, you guys. I mean, I have played hundreds of video games and all the way through, not just touched on them. I mean, I have been a avid gamer my entire life, and I've had some incredible experiences in gaming, and just in the last 2 weeks, there have been a couple things that have blown my mind that were new and that I want to share with you. The first is that I have had the scariest experience that I've ever had in a game, and I've played a lot of scary games. Amnesia, Outlast, some of the old Resident Evils. I mean, I've had some pretty scary experiences in games. But, and if you're okay with spoilers, go and watch my Half-Life Alyx Chapter 7 episode entitled Jeff. It is the most scared I've ever been in a game. And I was so freaked out, you guys. I felt like after that chapter, I had to go cool down. I had to take a nap. Like, it wrecked me. But it was absolutely fun as hell, and I was blown away coming out of that. So that's one of the big things, is that you're gonna have intense experiences in VR, and I've been more scared than I've ever been in any video game in my entire life in the last 2 weeks. So that's pretty cool. The last thing that I want to say here for new experiences is that it's a lot like actually being there. There was one moment that really sticks in my mind when I think about being there, and that's when I was crouched in real life, slowly moving through this sewer tunnel, and it was damp, it was dark, the ground was wet, so I could hear my footsteps. I could hear drips of water coming off of the cement tunnel down onto the ground. There was reverberation from my feet and from my breathing in the game, and I had this experience. I mean, it was warm in my office, but I felt cold. I felt like I could feel the humidity and the dampness in the air. And there was a real chilling experience that I had. So, that's not something that you get sitting down at a desk looking at a monitor. But that is something for sure that you're going to experience in VR. And it's something that I did and blew me away. So those are two of the things I really wanted to highlight to you guys, because, after my first 100 hours, I didn't know what to expect, and those were two really cool things that I wanted to talk about. Okay, the last big topic that I want to talk about is, hey, should we embrace VR? Calibrate here. It's an emerging market in the gaming industry. It's new. We've seen it die several times over the last 30 to 40 years. It's something that, people have always wanted. Let's create a truly immersive experience, allowing you to interact with something that isn't actually truly happening. And guys, I think I can say with confidence, because I've done enough research into, who's investing in it, and now I know firsthand what the experience is like. I don't think that VR is going to go away this time. I don't think it's going to die this time. You have big players investing in the hardware, in game development, big players like Valve and Microsoft, and others. So I think that there's, and we've already seen like Facebook and Oculus, and, there have already been pretty big, investments into the industry. But this is, is really growing quickly. The tech is advancing fast, and more games are coming out. So I don't think we're going to see this go away. I think that in terms of embracing it as something that's going to last, I feel like we can be confident that it's going to stick around. I also think, you know, something to consider here is that it is fun. Like, I have had an incredible amount of fun, and I can't freaking wait to do more VR. You know, when I dropped my hard-earned cash on the system, I went into it thinking like, God, I don't know. This might not be awesome. I might get sick. You know, the games might not be cool. It may just not be fun. But, yo, I'm going to tell you guys right now, it is. If you have fun playing video games, then you're going to have fun in VR. It's a high likelihood that that's a true statement. So it's fun as hell. And, you know, the other point that's tied to that is that, you know, with it being a growing market, it's a parallel category in gaming. So, you know, think of it like a Switch, right? Or a console game or a mobile game. It's just another category. And we're going to see it grow quickly, and the costs are going to come down, like I said. But, you know, I don't think it should be seen as something, you know, separate from desktop gaming. I think it should just be seen as something tied to it, but just a subcategory. Desktop gaming is not going away. It's not going away on this channel. It is the priority on this channel. VR is just going to be a part of the channel now, but you know, it's just going to be another way for us to have fun and experience gaming. You know, as gamers, we have something special that other people that enjoy other forms of entertainment don't have. You can read a book, you can watch a TV show, you can go to a concert, you can play a sport, and you can watch a movie. You can do all those things, but how do you do them and actually have the opportunity to participate and engage in a way that allows you personally to succeed in it, or to, you know, inform some sort of outcome? You do that through gaming. And VR is a new way to experience that on a new level. Okay, and that's it. Oh, and by the way, you know, I just want you guys to come and hang out with me at my crib, and you know, we can play some VR games together. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me in my home away from home in the Matrix. I will see you back at the coffee garage. Let's go. Yo, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I had a badass time kicking it with you in the Matrix at my Steam VR home. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I am just having a kick-ass time in VR, and I hope you guys are enjoying the content. If there's something that you want to see that I haven't showed yet, or if you have any questions about VR, please leave a comment below and let me know. I would love to rap with you guys about it. Okay, and there's a couple things that I want to let you guys know about before we bounce. One, I've got some special goodies coming from the Soviet Union for my Half-Life Alyx review, so that's probably still a couple weeks out, honestly. You know, with everything going on in the world, you know, shipping might take a little bit longer, and it's shipping from the other side of the planet, so yo, that might take a little bit longer than I'm hoping, but it's all good. I got some good ideas for that. Second, I'm starting Doom this week. Doom! I can't believe I haven't played it yet. Oh, I know so many people have played it already, but I've just been so focused on Half-Life Alyx and VR that I had to put that on the back burner. So I'm heading into that this next week once I finish up my gameplay vids for Alyx. And that's right, Outlast 2. Ooh, specially requested by my amazing patrons. I'm gonna do a gameplay review of Outlast 2, and I'll even do some gameplay vids. So come and hang out with me, keep an eye out for that stuff because I'm stoked to get it out. Thank you guys again, and y'all know how we do. I will see you on the next Gurhm's Garage. GG.